Do you think we should tell him?
Nope.
Okay. Why not?
It's a big house. It's funny that I only ever see two of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men.
Welcome, mansluts, 3-year-olds, and emotional vampires again. Didn't we do this last week? This is episode 289 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 16th of January, 2019, and featuring Big Finish's Class, Season 2, Now You Know, written by Tim Lang and starring Vivian Opara as Tanya and Jordan Renzo as Mateus. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black. With me are Mad Matt Winchell.
I'm out of drink.
And Randy Runson McCullough.
Steak.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan. I think we're expecting him to come depending on how long the podcast lasts. He is running late due to work.
It's hopefully he'll get here by the review. But he's not going to be here for the news.
Which only works if we have enough padding to reach our normal time.
Mm-hmm. And we have to stretch for some padding tonight. Holy cow,
folks.
folks.
It is a light news week. And Thomas Fireheart, once again, still has not been converted to the cult of Big Finish.
Big Finish.
Out of these audio reviews.
All right.
We need to send him one of the really good Big Finishes and compel him to give it at least a listen.
No. What we need to do is we need to ship him to the States, strap him to a chair, put
Clockwork Orange him.
Pretty much, yes.
Clockwork Orange him, Big Finish.
Only we don't need to do eyes. It's all ears. So
blindfold him and force a headset on him. Gotcha.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there are no earlids.
Mm-hmm.
But there are noise-dampening headsets.
Yeah. Yes, you hear us, Thomas. We're planning abuse. Oh, so how was your guys' week?
All right.
Ups and downs. The professor I was supposed to be submitting a grant with has still not gotten back to me. She still hasn't lifted the winter break communications blackout, and the deadline passed yesterday.
Oh.
So we have to meet and figure out what we're actually doing this semester instead.
Wow.
Fail.
Yep.
Professor fail.
Yeah, that's unusually bad for a professor.
That's kind of crappy for a professor.
It's possible there are extenuating circumstances because I know she actually had to basically end her semester a week early because of something at home, but she didn't really elaborate, so I don't know.
So she might be having personal issues.
Right.
So there might be personal issues, and she'll try to help you get through it, maybe, despite the issues that have stopped the conversation.
Well, like I said, it might be something like death in the family or an extended illness.
Something like that, yeah.
Somebody's parents or grandparents or something. And that might just be taking her a bit of time to get back on the ball. Well, I'm slightly sad. I'm no longer the ultimate answer.
Oh, you're no longer 42.
Yep. My 43rd birthday was on Sunday. We went out for dinner, steakhouse. It was nice, lovely, good steak. Had fun. And really, that was about the extent of my birthday. You know, I'm one of those people that get their birthday presents wrapped up with their Christmas presents, so my birthday's kind of a non-issue. I did not actually get a cake this year. I thought about it. I was going to stop by the store on the way back from the steakhouse, but I was far too full.
The steak hit you right where you needed it and just went, nah, fuck cake.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, wow, I'm getting really sleepy now. Probably should just go home. And then, of course, later that night, around 11:30, it's like, damn, I wish I'd gone to get that cake. And,
Oh well.
other than that, it's been a pretty average week. I've been doing a lot of reading. Not a lot of game playing, but to each their own. Right. So on tonight's show, since I've procrastinated about as long as I could, we've got news and birthdays and not a lot of either. I don't think we have anything new for Geek Talk. I didn't go to see any movies. How about you guys?
Nope.
Not particularly, and I think the news thing I have is about as close as we're going to get to Geek Talk.
I had a little bit. I mean, I've caught up on Arrow.
Okay.
And partially caught up on Flash, but the other two CW shows I've only caught up to the end of last year. So, and then I got it.
I think this week they came back from hiatus, so I'm officially behind.
Yeah, so now I'm an episode behind. It means I probably have to grab another episode because they've replaced one on the CW app. Yeah, I'm like probably 3 episodes of The Flash behind. And I don't know. I'm not liking that one as much as I liked Arrows this far. Anyway, that's more of a Geek Talk thing. So, the news. Starting with the birthdays, we have 2. First birthday is Gemma Redgrave, who played Kate Lethbridge Stewart from 2002 to 2017. May not be an ongoing character anymore now that apparently UNIT has lost its funding. Turned 54. Also, on the 15th of January, Richard Franklin, who played Mike Yates, turned 83.
UNIT birthdays all around.
Yeah, UNIT birthdays. That's about it. New UNIT and then old UNIT. So happy birthday to Gemma and Richard. Those are our 2 birthdays. We have no death notices, so episode news.
All right. The Barb has released its final 4-panel ratings for Series 11 of Doctor Who. Resolution received a total of 7.13 million viewers, 6.95 million on television, 73,000 on PC, 54,000 on tablet, and 44,000 on smartphone. This makes Resolution the 14th most watched program of that week. Ouch.
Ow.
This makes it the lowest watched holiday special in the history of New Who.
Yeah. Just for comparison, and these aren't even 4-panel ratings. These are televised ratings. Twice Upon a Time got 7.92 million. Return of Dr. Mysterio got 7.83. Last Christmas got Our Husbands of River Song got 7.69. Last Christmas got 8.28. Series 8 didn't have any specials. And then, of course, you've got the 2013 specials, which got 11 and 12 million, respectively. So, yeah, this is a huge drop-off for the holiday specials. I'm pretty sure the BBC is now going to be looking at Chibnall and going, this was a bad idea.
Now, again, I do think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was New Year's instead of Christmas.
That's what I meant.
Which is, yeah. I don't think it's specifically as a lot of people on social media seem to be claiming that, oh my God, it's such the most awful special and the most awful season ever. No, I think it was just people don't
I think it's
have
just
the same
really bad
viewing habits
timing.
on New Year's Day that they do on Christmas Day.
Yeah, because, most people aren't thinking about watching TV on New Year's.
Not to mention, most people aren't looking to get wasted on Christmas either.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it was New
Or
Year's
recovering
Eve,
from being wasted.
Yeah, it's more like recovering from being wasted. Fuck it, I got drunk last night. I've got work tomorrow. I'm just going to go to bed early. Fuck watching this.
Yeah, and then completely forget about watching it. So, yeah.
But it's still, there was a regular pattern of decline in viewers through the series. Resolution is up from the Battle of Ranskorev Kolos by about half a million, I think.
But still, that's not good numbers considering what it is.
Yeah, 7.13, up from 6.65. But yeah, that's not the huge rating increase that Chibnall promised the BBC. So.
Yeah, the BBC's just gotta be sitting there with crossed arms going, we're waiting.
Oh, one thing I forgot to add to that notice is the fact that it got an AI rating of 80.
That's actually unusually high.
It's actually 82 is usually the minimum of average.
Oh, I thought it was 60s.
So it's a little low.
I thought it was 60s for some reason. Never mind.
Yeah, it's usually 82 to 84. And it's 80, which is up from the 79 that the Battle of Ranskorev Kolos had, but
it's still not great, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just a whole lot of, what the hell with this. And this is, coming off of the Moffat era, which had ratings, the lowest rating in Series 10 was 81. And that was for The Eaters of Light. The highest rating it had was 85, which Series 11 came nowhere near.
Yeah, I think the series had the 83 out of the high.
It's noteworthy that watching the same Facebook comment sections, according to them, Series 10 they hated just as much as they hate Series 11. So I think it's very largely that the vocal hate everything.
Yeah, it's for me, the numbers that I'm looking at are the ratings, really.
Right.
The viewer ratings, which have gone down significantly over the course of Series 11, which means people lost interest.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. There's something going on. There is some sort of disconnect here with how this season's gone.
I will say, how does that compare to other new Doctor, new producer seasons?
Let's see.
So Series 5 would probably be the most fitting comparison.
Usually the pattern we see is it drops off in the middle and then picks up again near the end. So you kind of have that middle weak point.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I think, just kept slowly burning out, didn't it?
Yeah, it just kept deteriorating.
And that's definitely not a good sign. Hopefully, next season will be a turnaround.
Actually, Series 5 does have almost that same pattern that Series 11 does.
Okay.
The 11th hour premiered with 10 million people, dropped down to 8 by episode 2, and then stayed in the 8 until about episode 5, dropped down into the mid 7s, down to the mid 6s, back up into the 7s for an episode, down into the 6s, up to the 7 for the Pandorica opens, and then down into the 6s again for the Big Bang. But you see, it kind of stayed level, which Series 11 didn't.
Yeah, Series 11 was just a slow burnout, which is not exactly the same, but it's worrisome.
Yes. Instead, Series 11 started with 10 million people, dropped into the 9 and then the 8s, then dropped down into the 7s for like 4 episodes, and then dropped down into the 6s for the last 2. It just steadily went down. It went up slightly for the special, but specials usually get a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not get the level of boost that specials usually get. For example, I don't know if I can use Series 5 as an example, because usually they consider the Christmas special to be part of the next season. But I will use that anyway. 6.7 million was the Christmas special that year, which was A Christmas Carol, jumped up to 12.11.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Series 11 seems a little more anemic compared to Series 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only one you could compare it with using the same thing would be Series 1, which also, of course, had the boost of being the first actual series of New Who.
Mm-hmm.
which started out with 10 million people, dropped down to 7, then up to nearly 9, back down to 7, and it basically hung in the 8s, 7/8s, and occasionally popped down into the upper 6s for most of its run. And then its particular Christmas special, which was also Tenet's first, had 9.8 million people. So, again, you got, it eventually drops down into the 6s, picks up a little at the end, and then has a meteoric rise in the special, and we're not seeing that for this year.
Yeah, we're not seeing that rise this year, which is a little bit odd.
It's a little bit worrisome, because you've got to think that there's a ratings exec somewhere in the BBC going, this is bad, this is very bad. And if we want Doctor Who to keep going, and so that we can see a series 15, they have to turn around the quality and the viewership.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see what they start doing this next season when they come back next year.
As much as I hate to paraphrase Trump, they need to make Doctor Who great again. Yeah, it actually works with a series rather than a country.
Nah.
All right. So that is our episode news. We have no other news except for Big Finish news.
This is why we've been delayed on this one. I was just like, I'll let this.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I was doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Big Finish news. The Chameleon specials began yesterday with the release of the new main range story, Devil in the Mist. In it, the Doctor, Peter Davison, Tegan, Janet Fielding, Turlough, Mark Strickson, and Chameleon, John Colshaw, land on a prison ship with one prisoner, an alien warlord. Unfortunately for them, the ship is about to crash land on a planet of mists. Devil in the Mist is available now from Big Finish for $14.99 CD, $12.99 download.
Wow, 80s Who Stephen King crossover.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if the Planet of Mists is like a throwback to the third Doctor serial, The Mutants.
Ah.
I don't know. I'm guessing, because they put kind of a significance on the Planet of Mists, a Planet of Mists. So I don't know. I'd have to listen to the audio. Don't have it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then also coming out from Big Finish, the start of Series 8 of the new Fourth Doctor adventures began today. Subtitled The Syndicate Master Plan, it features Fourth Doctor Tom Baker alongside K9 John Leeson and introduces WPC and Kelso, played by Jane Slavin. In it, the Doctor stumbles into an assassination attempt of a shopkeeper. But why? And what does it have to do with the strange energy signatures he's been detecting, and what does W.P. Kelso have to do with it? The Fourth Doctor Adventure, Series 8, The Syndicate Master Plan, Volume 1 is out now, and Volume 2 will be released next month. Both are currently available at the price for £25 CD, £20 download.
So if her first appearance isn't out yet, that explains why I couldn't find her on a list of Fourth Doctor companions.
No, she literally stumbles into it during the assassination attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she meets the Doctor. Mm-hmm. By the way, do you know what WPC is? Stands for Woman Police Constable. Which was a actual kind of sexist rank within the British police department that was removed in 1999. But as this is taking place during the 20th century, it would still be a rank within the British police force. I actually had to look that up because, yeah, I was a little curious myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that off the top of my head, but then again, I don't think any of us here, at least, are British.
I knew what PC stood for. Because I'd heard, like Maxwell Silver Hammer. Anybody knows the Beatles song?
Yeah.
Because there's somebody in there that's PC something. said we got a dirty one. Yeah,
It's come up in Torchwood a few times,
Yes.
and Jago and Lightfoot.
Yeah, and that's police constable, and then there's DC, which is detective constable, and then DCI, which is detective constable inspector. I knew that one from Life on Mars.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of British ranks, but it used to be that a woman police constable didn't have the same authority as a regular police constable just because they were a woman.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Again, yeah, back in the day.
Was there a WDC and a WDCI too?
I don't know. Those I think at that point there was a glass ceiling. Women couldn't have those particular positions due to well, basically sexism.
A woman can be the queen, but she can't be a detective.
Yeah, it was different era.
It was the 90s.
Until the 90s when they started breaking that, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, the first woman detective constable, or WDC, was appointed in 1973.
Oh,
and that was also the year that the women's police department was fully integrated into the Metropolitan Police.
Mm.
However, the female officers didn't get equal pay with the male officers until 1974.
So this all started unraveling in the 70s then. Okay.
Yeah, in the late 70s, they began to see some major progress. The first woman chief superintendent was appointed. The first female traffic officer was hired in 77. First female dog handler in 79. And then the prefix woman in front of the officers was removed in 1999. And in 2017, they had their first female commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Service, which is the most senior police officer in England.
There you go. Where's the more you know logo?
Yeah, I know. I looked this stuff up. I get curious. I look it all up. And I did look up this stuff beforehand. There was also, by the way, the rank women police sergeant back then too. So that was, you could become a WPC and eventually a WPS, but that was the ceiling. Those ancient days when sexism could be blatantly obvious and nobody said anything at the time, I'm not looking at them enviously. I'm just looking at them going, you look back at them now and you just kind of go, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Makes you wonder how the hell they got away with it. And then you realize, oh yeah, because men were completely and totally in charge back then.
People were dicks.
Yeah. People were dicks.
People are still dicks.
Yeah. But they
still have their
moments,
but they're less obvious now, at least.
All right.
Anywho.
So now you know. Now you know those are coming out. Basically, the news is done. We have some score changes, or some score changes that Thomas has made. He's basically coming out with at least 2 or 3 of these a week these days, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And these have changed ratings on the War Games, which he has retroactively given a 5 to, which takes it pretty far up our list, going from number 78 to number 58 on our charts. Thomas has also changed the rating from The Mind of Evil to a 5.0, which took it up from number 92 to number 81. Any complaints or comments about this can be addressed to Thomas.
Really quick, what was the War Games?
War Games was rated a 5, went up from number 78 to number 58.
Okay. And
basically up 20 slots.
The other one was Mind of Evil?
Mind of Evil, he also gave a 5 to. It went from number 92 on our charts to number 81.
Not substantially large jumps, but decent jumps.
Yeah. Well, at that point, that's where the bulk of our ratings are, because the average of these was like one jumped up to a 4.4 and the other one jumped up to a 4.3. and that's enough because that's where the bulk of our scores are. It's enough to make those huge 20-point jumps because there's 20 things in those titles. Because that's kind of where it averages to frequently.
So yeah, those were good episodes too. So they're worthy of getting the little bumps.
Mm-hmm.
So all right.
All right.
No
Geek
qualms.
Talk. Geek Talk. Has anybody watched anything new? I know I've been meaning to go see Aquaman, but haven't.
I have not.
I haven't seen anything in particular, but I did see that Star Wars thing a little bit. Don't know if we want to get into that or not. We do need filler, but
just out of curiosity. So thus far, Aquaman has been the greatest thing to DC films. To the DC, yes. Well, I think even better than Tim Burton. Okay, Aquaman was made on a budget of 160 to 200 million. Its current box office score, 1.025 billion. So you know the old thing. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, Aquaman's busy making a tuna fish sandwich because he can't do crepe, except make $1 billion at the box office. Ha! Take that, Superman.
Kiss my ass, Batman. I'm the big shot now.
Yeah, that's pretty big for DC.
Especially lately.
They've needed that.
They've really needed something to be a hit. Yeah.
Now they should have the budget for Green Lantern too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be a 2.
But I mean, Warner Brothers has been trying to get a superhero thing off the successfully off the platform, and they had Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, she was okay, but she wasn't as high as they had hoped, I assume.
I'm double checking now.
But I remember her doing really well.
Wonder Woman being 120 to 150 million made $822 million. So, yes, Aquaman is beating Wonder Woman.
At this point, he's the big blockbuster for them.
So yeah.
Of all the superheroes in the DC universe, the big blockbuster is Aquaman.
Yes, I know. That is weirdly frightening.
But here's the good thing, though. I know there's some of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on, and the people who pushed Aquaman to get done are the same people who pushed Shazam.
Well, that might be good. Okay, out of curiosity, I'm looking up Man of Steel, the first new Superman movie in the DC. A budget $225 million, made $668 million.
It made enough, but it wasn't like all the money.
Batman v Superman, budget $250 million, made $873 million.
Oof.
Suicide Squad, $175 million, made $746 million.
So actually, relative to the other two, it did better, but
yeah,
just because its budget was lower, not because it was a better.
Well, not even just because the budget was lower, but because it also made like way more money than the others did too.
Yeah. Justice
you said
League,
it made less than BVS, right?
No.
Overall, no.
No, it's
no.
None of these have cracked $1 billion.
Right, but
except for Aquaman.
Suicide Squad, right?
What?
You said BVS did 8, and then Suicide Squad did 7. So
yeah,
it did better relatively, but not.
Correct. Yeah. None of these have done major wonders.
No,
because all of them they released hoping to make $1 billion,
and not a single one of them has done it until Aquaman.
Justice League, budget of $300 million, box office $657 million.
Ouch! That's like the least take back out of all of them.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure that made its marketing budget.
That's also a possibility too, because they don't always include marketing budget and everything else.
Right. So, and that was the last movie prior to Aquaman. Now, Aquaman, like I said, has its production budget is only 160 to 200 million, and it's just made $1 billion. That's kind of like,
That's literally making Halloween and making Halloween's money
yeah,
when it
pretty
first
much.
came
It's,
out. Yeah, that's
So
that's the
no, that's
cheapest movie they've made so far in the franchise, and it's made the most money out of all
so
of
I'm
them.
thinking whoever's idea it was to combination make Aquaman a frat boy and to cast him as Jason Momoa, I hope that person's getting a raise. Even though
Right?
even though I'm not necessarily
Well,
a
it's not
fan of
even so much that they
frat
made
boy
him a frat
Aquaman,
boy.
but
It's just that you
they
got to
made
find where
they
the
made him
character
relatable
is.
to they made him relatable to the lowest common denominator.
They
to
didn't.
make to
I,
make to make him blue collar, I think is what Bill's looking for. Not to make him
a douche.
not to make him this, um 4-color um like 60s Aquaman. Yeah.
Well, also the usually I take frat boy as mean your dick half the time to sue. So I'm like, that's not exactly the image I
Well,
got out of Aquaman, but okay.
In the trailers, he was definitely like, I'm fueled by beer and parties. That was the guy we saw in the trailers.
Well,
Anyway, I don't know if he
that
was
could
that
be
way in the
Thor
movie.
too, but Thor's not an asshole either.
I mean, the whole plot. Well, the first Thor movie was combination Thor is an asshole plus fish out of water. Those were the two main plots of Thor 1. That's why he couldn't lift the hammer, was because he was an asshole.
Yeah, he got over that.
Yeah, I mean, before we say this, would have to actually watch the movie. So
Yeah, before we can add any more into it, but the fact that this has been a huge
Yeah.
boon for DC right now is both weird and exciting.
But
Yeah.
what I meant was there's something in the trailer that didn't appeal to me that clearly appealed to a lot of people.
Either that, or they were watching they had heard other news, and there's some word of mouth of people that did go see it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie. You got to go see it.
Oh, also on top of that, I should add that the guys who directed and filmed this movie, I believe they're the ones that did the that horror series for Warner Brothers. I'm trying to remember what it was called again.
Oh, it was the director was from the same director of Saw.
Was it Saw? I don't think
Yes.
it was
Yeah,
Saw.
James Wan.
Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, Saw 3D. well
Must
as
have been
The
the producers I'm
Conjuring.
thinking of. The Conjuring. That's what I was thinking of. The Conjuring.
Um,
I've never seen any of the Saw movies. I have no interest.
The Conjuring 2. Also, apparently, was the director for Furious 7.
Mm.
Jigsaw. He was only the executive producer for that. The Nun was a writer and exec. So yeah, he's done a bit, but yeah, he's mostly known for doing all of the Saw movies, where he was writer and director for most of them, or at least an executive producer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the writer for Saw 0.5, the short film that started the Saw series. The writer and director for Saw 1, and then the executive producer for Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, and Saw 3D. And then he also did Dead Silence and Death Sentence. So he's done a lot of horror movies and a lot of other stuff. He's a,
Yeah, it's
he's a
mostly just
director.
horror movies, but
Looks
yeah,
like he's
yeah,
going the way of Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi.
pretty much.
Although he's only really been in the filmography business since the turn of the millennium. But still, if he's making $1 billion on
The
a
turn of the millennium
superhero
was
movie,
20 years ago, so
I know. But I mean, you've got people like Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg and those that have been doing movies since the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone else you listed, Bill, has been doing this stuff since the 80s at least, and that's a nice long time now.
Well, I mean, like the distance from Evil Dead to Spider-Man is not that far from not that different from the distance from Saw to Aquaman, is what I'm saying.
Kinda. I think there's a little less time, but yeah, it's the same direction though.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted it to know that yes, that has broken the $1 billion barrier, and That's the first of the DCEU movies to do so. And considering the fact that Warner Brothers was actually considering selling DC,
This might actually be the turnaround for them. It's like, oh wait,
yeah,
what else do you guys have planned?
yeah, this might let them think twice and actually not have AT&T, Time Warner, just slough off the DC Comics to somebody else.
So now I'm wondering if they sold the movie rights to Paramount or someone, if something good
Paramount
could come
couldn't do anything with them. They don't have the money right now.
Yeah, Paramount's in bad financial strait. Actually, Paramount's getting bought. What the fuck are we talking about?
Oh.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, there's a
I knew
big
it was
merger
bad,
going.
but
Paramount is owned by Viacom, and Viacom's merging back with CBS.
so that might mean they might just buy out Paramount Wholesale if they want to at this point.
Well, at the very least, that's a good thing for the Star Trek franchise. Which means that because Star Trek has been under two roofs for like a decade and a half now.
Yeah, and that merger is almost done. I think there was some sort of financial thing that came up, but they're still working on finishing that up.
But that'll put it back under one roof, which means trying to get something made doesn't have to go through
a whole bunch of BS. It just can go as long as it's under the house.
Yep. By the way, apparently Star Trek 4 is dead. The J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently dead in the water. Because the director that was signed on to make it has now signed on to direct the new Game of Thrones spinoff for HBO.
Yep. And after the difficulties of losing some of the actors because they couldn't get paid enough, they've already been just stalling in the water.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much a dead horse. Whether we're going to see what goes on with oh God, who was it that wants to make a Star Trek movie now?
Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino Trek.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to see what goes on with that.
There's still whispers of that, but I haven't heard any details either. So,
by the way, and I know I keep coming up with stuff, but hey, it's cool. Did you know that speaking of Warner Brothers, that Warner Brothers is going to be coming out with a new streaming service this year?
Wait, another one?
Well, apparently with the merger with AT&T, apparently Warner Brothers is now the owner of HBO. And they are basically taking the HBO library, merging it with the Warner Brothers library, and starting a new streaming service.
You know what must be nice? Living in a country where everything is on Netflix and you don't have to keep track of
Yes,
this
I
bullshit.
know.
Fucking right.
I
am
don't mind
so sick of this shit.
I'm it's like I don't mind there being like 2 or 3, like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime.
Right.
I can deal with that. That's 3.
But when every individual movie company wants to make their own little online pocket, I'm telling you no.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass. I ain't buying it.
What's going to happen here, and I'm pretty sure that within the next 3-4 years, there is going to be a streaming services crash.
Yep.
Where all of these little baby streamers are going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they'll take down a big one with them is the question.
Right.
I guarantee you a couple of the big ones are going to go with it because there's no way they can hold on that long.
It seems to me like if not for the international market, that they would have a good chance of choking out Netflix because Netflix US is using everything, but the international market may keep Netflix going.
Yeah.
There's that. There's the fact that all of the anime companies are still using Netflix.
Not all of them. Funimation has its own streaming service, which means, yeah, it's Funi. But the thing is, Funi will also whore out their shows to anyone else. Too.
I thought anime was pretty much Crunchyroll's territory now.
No,
Crunchyroll gets it when it's not been dubbed yet.
There's 3 or 4 anime streaming services. There's Crunchyroll. There's Funimation, which basically is the king of dubs. Crunchyroll's the king of subs. Funimation's the king of dubs.
I thought Crunchyroll was where you had to go to watch Dragon Ball Super dub legally.
You can also see it on Funi's channel.
Oh.
There's also a couple of third-party companies who I'm not sure about. I think Viz may have their own streaming service now,
Hmm.
or licensed through somebody. I'd have to look to see what they are, but they're not big by any means of the imagination compared to Crunchyroll and Funi.
Hmm.
Crunchyroll's big enough that they can actually sell ads now in commercial spaces. We ran into one of those the other day on television. We're just like, seriously, Crunchyroll's actually making commercials?
Not surprised.
Awesome.
They've started making their
Somewhat-
own shows, I think.
Somewhere other than YouTube, because
It's
every website has commercials on YouTube.
no,
now.
not talking YouTube. We're talking
Right.
actual like Air TV commercials.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we were watching the news and one came up, and we're just like, holy crap. But no, it surprises me because I remember when Crunchyroll was this little fly-by-night show that was running bootlegs and fan subs. So, then they got nailed by it and they said, okay, we'll go legit. And they went legit and they've become this huge monster in the anime business.
Because they can get all the subtitles right away and done quickly, and they can actually pay the people to do the subtitles and send
They're
some of that
making-
money back to the companies that they get the rights from.
They don't do it much, but they also license and distribute their own stuff too. So
Yeah, like I said, they just start doing their own shows, I think, within the last year or so.
I think it's been a couple of years, but yeah.
It's probably taken a couple of years to develop it, yeah.
It's still, like it raises an eyebrow amazing. Netflix is still doing some exclusive anime, like they have the sole rights to Neon Genesis Evangelion at the moment.
Also, they have other third parties that are making animated stuff just for Netflix.
Yeah, but those are not really anime as much as they are anime inspired. Some of them may be using anime production companies, but the concepts and everything are still Western. So it's much like, back in the 80s when Thundercats was being produced by a Japanese or Korean animation house, but all the writing and stuff was coming from America.
Mm.
Technically, Batman the Animated Series was that way too.
Hmm.
A lot of it was made by the company that would eventually become Sunrise.
Oh, and sadly, Netflix is still trying to do live action of different anime shows.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah,
not turned out well for them at all.
I watched like the first 10 minutes of the live action Full Metal Alchemist and went, no.
Apparently, that's the same reaction most people had to, was it Death Note? And do you know what the next series is?
That was ages ago. Cowboy Bebop. Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm still going to watch the first 10 minutes of it. And
We'll poke our heads in and go, nah, and leave.
Oh, it depends. If I mean, I've had a couple of live action adaptations I liked. Space Battleship Yamato live action was fairly awesome.
That was made by Toho. Yeah.
I know.
Toho knows their shit.
But it does know that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Talking too much, sore throat. Yeah. It can be done. Just a matter of, do they put the time, effort, and dedication into doing it? The thing about the Yamato movie, live action movie, was it was a labor of love. These people that made it were fans of the original. They loved it. And they wanted to see a live action version of it so much, so they made it work. The people that are making these Netflix adaptations,
Just a bunch of American schmucks, as far as I'm aware, yeah.
are in it for the money.
Yeah, they're just in it because I've heard of this tale before. Let's try and do it. Not always the best way to go about things.
A few years ago, there was a live action adaptation of Ranma One Half. It was terrible. It was horrible. It was like if somebody had fired Rumiko Takahashi from Ranma One Half and hired Go Nagi. It was bad.
Which reminds me, I wonder how that Roni Kenshin movie went.
I have no idea.
Because it looked promising. But then again, I hadn't heard anything after seeing images of it.
Is that on Netflix or is it...
I'm not sure. I don't think that was on
I don't know.
Netflix, not originally at least.
I'll have to look for it and see. But yeah, so you can make quality or you can make crap in that kind of shit. So if the Cowboy Bebop is a labor of love and becomes an accurate live action adaptation, I will love it to death. Oh, another great live action adaptation, and I forget who did this, but it was all Japanese doing.
Mm.
GTO, the live action GTO series was great.
Don't think I heard about that one.
It was years ago.
Hmm.
I remember because it was back when I was still in the fan sub business.
Oh wow,
So
that is years and years ago. Okay.
Yeah, it was not long after the anime came out. There was a live action series, and I got the fan subs for the live action series, thinking it was the animated series, and went, "Oh wow, this is live action. Oh wow, this is good." But it's just more proof that it can be done. So anyway, we kind of really jumped topics like 4 or 5 times there. That was a rolling derailment, but it's not like we don't have time.
We start 10 minutes late, and we're still technically 10 minutes late. Early
we started 15 minutes late. Actually,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did start 15 minutes late, and we're still like 15 minutes early to moving on.
Yeah, I haven't heard the TARDIS yet.
Oh, I think I see Tim.
Hello.
Hello.
Here.
Yeah, we've been delaying to hopefully get you on for the review because
Been stalling a little bit.
It was a dead news week. 3 articles, Tim. 3 articles. 2 of which were Big Finish. All I can think is that the BBC is currently sticking their heads in the sand and going, "Nope, didn't happen."
We'll make corrections. We swear. Just wait for it. Just wait for it.
Anyway, we also had some score additions and changes. Oh wait, no, I went through all that. Never mind.
You went through score additions and changes.
I lost where we were.
We're in the sci-fi and talking stuff. In which case, we want to really cover the Star Wars thing quick, or do we just want to move on?
If you can do it quick, I think.
I can do it in like 5 minutes or less. I'm pretty sure. So let me get a image here if I can quick. Copy and paste. Pass. Star Wars. There we go. All right. So, a fan YouTube channel called, and double checking to make sure I get this right, Star Wars Theory, which is technically a theory show based on various fan theories as well as the creator's own personal theories on Star Wars, decided to put his money where his mouth is and actually made a fan-based episode 1 for a YouTube TV series featuring Darth Vader called Vader Shards of the Past. I've seen the first 6 minutes of this. There's already literally one scene that gave me goosebumps. It was that good. And apparently he got the okay from Lucasfilm to make this series as long as he didn't go do a GoFundMe and as long as he didn't put ads on it when it went to YouTube. However, shortly after releasing this episode, I believe either this previous weekend or just before this previous weekend, not long afterwards, all of a sudden Disney descended upon him and took away his episode and put advertisements on it.
Yeah, they did that on Monday.
And so for the last couple days, Star Wars Theory has been trying to fight this and asking the fans, what do you think about it if I fight this? Because there shouldn't be ads on it at all. To which he apparently at one point got an email direct from them saying that if you try to fight our claim on your episode, not only are we going to give you a strike on your channel, but we're also going to actually delete the episode altogether and be done with this. So he was in a really hard spot, and he's figured he would just be leaving it alone, even though this is really messed up bullshit, in my opinion. But apparently the stink made about this was so big that someone higher up found out what was going on, came down to whoever decided to mess with this guy's episode, and told them to stop it. And as of literally today,
that is an assumption.
That is an assumption, and as of literally as of today, the claim on the episode is gone. the good news is that the claim on the episode is gone, and there are no more advertisements on the episode, and is free for everyone to watch, ad free.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm saying that you are assuming there because we honestly
Yes,
don't
we don't know
what
for sure, but
happened.
that is the big assumption that we can easily make. There might be some other story to it, though.
Not really. Because you've got to remember, the Mouse is a huge ass corporation. They're large. And whenever you get a large corporation, you get the case where one hand doesn't know what the other's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite think that the company that put all the claims in that is probably Disney's legal department, which has a subdivision which patrols the internet looking for things to throw copyright claims on. And the thing is that the permission came from Lucasfilm, which is itself a subdivision of Disney, and thus might not be aware what legal is doing. So probably what I think might happen is the fact that once Lucasfilm heard about this, they basically went to Disney Legal and said, no, we had given permission for this. This is permitted. We like this. This is free advertising for our shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney Legal went, are you sure about that? And they're like, yes. They're like, okay. And released it. It just takes that.
This is, again, the most likely scenario. We don't know for sure exactly what happened.
Oh, no. It's like one or the other. But Disney's not known for its backing down.
No, it's most likely not at least not a very willing or very likely backing down. It's like someone else went, hey, there's something wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And went over and fixed it.
So I honestly think it's a matter of there was 2 days of interdepartment conversations till they found the person responsible and went, no, this is permitted, undo it. Bad, no biscuit.
But on what level this was being blocked for whatever reason, yeah.
No mouse treats for you. And, that got it taken care of. But it's, shit what happens when you start dealing with a massive corporation like the House of Mouse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So whether or not Star Wars Theory wants to continue doing the episodes is up to him, but at this point it's obvious that he'd safe for him to continue doing episode 2 if he so desires.
At this point, Disney is a corporation staffed by corporations instead of people.
Yeah, that's true.
Just about. So does that mean every single thing is run by Voltron?
Okay, come to think about it, if anyone's seen the epic rap battle of Stan Lee versus Jim Henson, the last few seconds of that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, when Walt Disney comes down, lays the smackdown on them both, because I own both your asses.
And then they show all of the Disney properties, and it's just like stretching on endlessly at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm waiting for the time that the Disney Corporation makes the bid to own the world. It truly becomes Disney World.
Also becomes Shadowrun at that point, doesn't it? Or at least Cyberpunk?
Disney's already a megacorp.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's a Cyberpunk franchise about that.
Disney's already a megacorp. The only thing more powerful than Disney's the frickin' power company, because you don't mess with the power company.
We all know your asses. Ha ha!
Yeah.
Where the Mickey Mouse hears a shame. Ha ha!
Oh, yeah. And you know what punishment is under the Disney Imperium, right? You get sent to the It's a Small World ride for all eternity.
I hope you enjoy that song, bitch.
Yeah. By the way, that is the hell that waits for me when I die. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the hell. It's the It's a Small World ride for all eternity. Just endlessly, and all those creepy dolls. I don't know if you've ever been.
Your nightmares.
Yep.
Don't know if you've ever seen the It's a Small World ride, but
oh yeah, I've seen video.
Creeps the hell out of me.
I've been on it.
Last time I was on the It's a Small World ride, I spent the entire ride going, "Get out! Get out!"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's.
I wonder how If anyone's clocked how many times they play that song in one go round.
I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. Because you're only supposed to spend about 5 to 10 minutes on the ride.
Yep.
I have nightmares about riding that ride and the ride breaking down in the middle of it, like it did for the Pirates of the Caribbean ride once. And you're just like,
I heard from a friend of mine that actually happened to someone once.
were they sane when they got him out?
No, but like the boat part broke down, so they were stuck in the middle of the ride for about like 45 minutes to an hour, but the song kept playing.
Oh my god.
God.
There's gotta be mental scars, man.
Yes. I would have left the boat and swam for it. I don't care if it electrified me at that point. I don't care if it electrocuted me at that point. I just would need to get the fuck out. Is there an emergency exit? I need an emergency exit. God, no.
Get me out! Get me out!
That is absolute horror for me. I would need all the therapy in the world.
Can't sleep. Creepy dolls will eat me.
Mm-hmm. Oh. God, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
And not with that mental image in Randy's head again. Are
No,
we ready for the...
no, I'm gonna
Are
be
we ready
waking
for
Erin up
stopwatch?
all night tonight, and she's like, "What's wrong?" Night terrors. It's a small world. Oh, God. It affects me more than horror movies. I'm sitting here. I watched the freaking last year's Halloween movie, and I'm just like, cool. I didn't freak out at all during the movie. I'm just like, cool. Put me in the It's a Small World ride for 3 hours, and I'm just like, oh, God, no. All right. So
as I was saying, stopwatch.
Yep, it is time for the episode summary. Who wants to do the episode summary? Whose turn is it?
I did it last week, yes?
I think so.
And I believe you did it the week before?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I did New Year's. Randy did. Wait. No, wait. Can't be, because we've only had 1 week since New Year's, right? No, we didn't, because we had Robots of Death.
Robots of Death
we've
was
had
done
3.
the week before New Year's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we
last
had
week's. Who
because
did
Chris-
Robots of Death? Do we remember?
No, I'm gonna have to keep track of this, aren't I? I'm gonna have to put like a new tab under seasons on who does the summary.
Did I do Robots of Death?
Honest to God, I don't remember.
I really can't remember. You might have, but I can't remember for the life of me right now. Which is why I asked. Because I would think the person who did it would have remembered that they did it.
Not always. I mean, it's been almost a month now.
Yeah.
And, Christmas happened. Stuff happened.
New Year's.
So who did it last week?
Me.
Okay, so who did Resolution?
I did.
Okay.
So that was Bill. So it's down to you and Tim right now.
Yep. Tim, do you want to take this one and I'll take next week's?
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
All right.
Now, I hardly remember anyone's names at the best of times, and I've completely blacked out the TV series class.
Their names are Tanya and Mateus, and Sir not appearing in this film.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah. That's like if you want the people that did voices, it's Tanya, Mateus, and that bitchy girl.
Okay.
Which I kept trying to figure out if it was Tanya's actress doing a second voice or if it was actually a different actress.
I was pretty sure it was a different actress, but
okay.
If it wasn't a different actress, then she did a damn good job.
Yep. All right, so are we ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Okay, so Tanya and Mateus are in class at the Cold Hill Academy when all of a sudden they get sucked into this mystery where every time someone is bullied, a portal appears and this guy comes out, and the bully is in a coma, and they have to figure it out. Uh, and so Tanya, who's the really smart girl uses her computer skills to look up things, about new mysteries, and they find they find out that back in the 60s, there was a 16-year-old kid who disappeared, and he kept to himself, which was code for he was bullied. And one day he would snap and go postal on everyone. So,
I don't think they thought about that back then.
Well, they should have. But anyway, so Tanya and Mateus say, "All right, well, draw them out by bullying each other," and they do. And it turns out that this kid, who I believe his name is Peter,
Correct.
met this alien creature thing, and they became some sort of symbiotic thing where the alien creature got strength from this hatred, and Peter got used to get revenge against all the bullies in the world. But then Mateus and Tanya thing, is like, you're no better than the bullies you're bullying. It's like you're just the same, and it's like, and Peter's like, oh my god, what have I done? So then he goes away, and he everyone who is a victim of this Peter alien type thing gets saved, and one of the girls who was mean to Tanya, her name is Michelle, says, I'm sorry I was a bitch. I had this weird dream that I was trapped in this hellish landscape, but and you were there. And you were there, Auntie M. And so Tanya and Mateus have saved the day from the vengeful ghost of the bullied kid, ghost alien.
Who would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for the meddling kids and the stupid dog?
Yes.
I think we're stopping there.
I think we're stopping there, yep.
Yeah.
2 minutes and 40-some seconds.
Yeah. Not
it wasn't
a lot
that
for
complicated
a story, no.
And
Yeah,
yes, Tim, that's what this episode was missing. Somewhere over the rainbow. Yes.
By the way, the bitchy girl was Michelle and was played by a different actress than Vivian Oparah.
Okay.
Was played by Siobhan Marks.
So it was played by somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, much like the bully Chris was played by somebody else too.
Hmm.
So there were 5 people in the cast in this one in total.
Who played the old man? Probably the same guy who played Chris, maybe?
I don't know. I don't see him listed.
Might have been just some Big Finish staffer then, maybe, too.
Possibly, yeah.
Who was already part of the whole thing anyways and didn't need an extra credit.
Something like that. All right. So what we liked about the episode, and Matt, you are first.
I've been rolled first again. Now we bring up an image because there's literally one image to pull up for this, which is the cover.
Matt, you had a 33% chance of being first.
Yes, but it seems to always roll me a lot. So the thing I like about this episode, I really like the fact that they used their characters well, even though they had to use them sparingly again. The story in particular felt like it was properly written for these particular characters in mind.
Mm.
Whereas the last one, we had some issues.
Yeah. I can definitely see that and agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, what about you?
I just feel like the 2 leads had so much more chemistry. Like, as people, you could see, like, being friends and enjoying being in each other's company so much more than pretty much anything that ever involves at least half of the rest of the crew of Class.
Yep.
Especially
swear to-
compared to the last story. There's just so much more chemistry here, and it made it just so much more enjoyable just because of that.
I
Mhm.
know. I swear, if Matthias wasn't gay, I'd so be shipping those two.
And at least 3 years older than Tanya.
That doesn't bother me that much.
A 3-year gap is not huge, yeah. And they're both
At that
still
age,
technically
it
in high
is.
school, but
I'd still be
Especially
shipping
when
the two.
one's above 18 and one's significantly under it.
was the one above 18?
Yeah, because there was that little talk where they were talking about age of consent and how old the guy would be and whatever.
I think their age of consent is a little bit wonk in Britain. I forget what their
Well,
age of consent is.
Well, I don't know. It could.
Part
could
of
be...
what they were talking about was that prior to don't ask me the year, I can't remember. But at one point the age of consent for gay boys and men was raised higher than for straight. I think that was part of the topic of their conversation earlier about just the age differences.
Okay, so no, he's 17.
I was gonna say, I don't think he's 18.
I'm
Okay.
looking at his birth date on the TARDIS data core.
The character, right? Not the actor.
Mm-hmm. Based on when class took place in 2016, he was 17 because he was born in 1999.
Yeah, this is still taking place in season 1 as far as we're aware.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so everything is set. Yeah, they even say, they also say it in the BTS it's all within season 1 if there is any ambiguity.
Yep. Tanya, on the other hand, was born around 2002, making her 14. 14. So yeah, 14
3
and
years.
17. So yeah, Matthias is either a junior or a senior by what would be American standards.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they do have some good chemistry. They work well together.
Technically, Tanya is not 2, but she was pushed ahead, what, a year or 2?
She was pushed ahead like 3 years. Yeah. She's the super brain.
So she would technically otherwise would have been a freshman?
She would have either been a freshman or still be in middle school.
Or 8th grade, yeah.
Yeah, it's of course that's provided that they have middle school again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, school system differences.
Yeah. I think they have different terminologies for it, but it's the same basic idea over there.
Not necessarily. I think they have primary and secondary school, so middle school actually might be
aren't
be
there
split.
seniors called like sixth former or something? So that would imply that there's 6 years in the school.
I don't know. Also, you got to remember that Coal Hill's a private academy, so
And not just a
rules
regular
might
school
be
anymore,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
they need to send you an owl and everything.
it's not fucking Hogwarts. Although if it would be,
Is it?
Tanya would be the
Isn't
freaking
it?
Hermione of the group.
Bill, do you
you
hear
sure
them
it's
casting
not?
magic spells?
It's sci-fi Hogwarts. It's space Schwartz. I don't know. Tim, how about you? What did you like about the episode overall? I say stopping this train of conversation completely.
I liked the basic premise of the episode, in that dealing with the topic of bullying in high school, because I think that's something that I'm always for addressing, and from the perspective of people who would be in that situation, and I think they did with that very maturely. But this is sort of like a double-edged sword for me, because I think that, if I may, that this, I could always also put this down as the thing I liked least about this episode at the same time, because this episode was, I think, too simple and short to fully deal with it properly. But at the same time, I do like that they addressed it. If that
Okay,
makes any sense.
you should have held off for a moment because that was. Tim's already
Yeah.
put in what he disliked before I got to put in what I liked.
Uh,
Of course, I'm not sure there's much left.
yeah, like I said, like this episode was very short and very not complicated.
It wasn't really short. It was simple.
Yeah, simple.
It was the same length as the other one. It was about an hour. But it was very basic in its plot line. What I liked, let's see. Oh. Honestly, I think I just have to piggyback on Bill. I really like Tanya and Matthias in this. They worked well together, and they seem to be perfectly in character.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I could say I liked the characterization well.
The characterizations, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what we disliked. Tim's already gone. Matt.
Piggybacking slightly on Tim, I have to agree that if there's anything to really nitpick about this is that it seems like they went maybe a little too keep it simple, stupid. But at the same time, it does keep from people getting confused, and it does keep a straightforward plot that everyone seems to be able to follow thus far. So there's goods and bads to that.
All right, Bill.
So I'm gonna have to say that they kind of, in their attempts to keep a continuity, ended up muddling it. By which I mean, first they reference the fact that the doctor was a shitty caretaker, but then they go on and claim that Coal Hill School has been an academy for years and years and years, despite the fact that when the doctor was the caretaker, it was Coal Hill School, not Coal Hill Academy.
They didn't directly say that the doctor was the previous caretaker, Bill. That's your assumption.
They didn't say his name, but they still referenced it.
They referenced a previous caretaker. That's it.
Who didn't do caretaking.
And you don't think they immediately replaced the doctor after he left again?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is the guy that replaced the doctor when he left, basically.
No.
I also don't remember them implying that that's been an academy for years.
They did say it's been an academy for years.
In the scene where they were looking through the records.
Mm-hmm. That one Bill did get right.
That's how they figured that Peter was from decades ago.
I'm just assuming that they assumed that the caretaker... There may have been a slight nod to the doctor, but I'm just going to assume that the previous caretaker after the doctor was also shite. Because it's been years since he's been caretaker. I don't think he was caretaker all that time.
I remember the fact that it was because they saw the Coal Hill School thing, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's Coal Hill used to be a school."
Tanya said it was a school years ago.
Mm-hmm. And that was series. Was it series 8 or not?
Series 8 was, I think, when he was.
Wondering because I know that this is established as taking place in 2016. Okay, series 8 was in fall of 2014.
So it's been at least 2 years.
The caretaker was in series 8. So that was 2014.
Yeah, it's been at least 2 years. So there has to have been in 2 years span at least one previous caretaker since this current guy. In between him and the doctor, I should say.
The thing is, I believe Coal Hill School. No, actually, we didn't really deal with Coal Hill School much in the series 9 either.
Nope. Nope. That 2 year span, we did nothing with the school, and all of a sudden it came back in class as an academy.
Never really sure why they made that difference, but I don't know. Anyway.
Shrug.
What I disliked is the fact that I've actually seen this storyline before. I've actually seen the storyline in an episode of Danny Phantom, believe it or not, which did the story in half the time, I might add. Wherein a ghost, not necessarily a dimensionally displaced kid, but a ghost, comes back to wreak havoc of the bullies of Danny's school. and
I'm
Danny has
wondering
to be the
now.
one to convince him that he's no different than the bullies.
I'm wondering now. I never watched a lot of Danny Phantom, but I feel like it's familiar enough that I may have watched that one episode.
I've watched
Unless,
a lot
I mean,
of Danny
it could
Phantom.
have also happened just in a different show because it's not the most original idea on the planet.
I
Oh,
take
it
it.
might.
What was Danny Phantom? Nickelodeon or
It
what
was
station?
Nicktoons.
It
It was
was.
Yeah.
Nicktoons.
It was
Yeah,
Nickelodeon. Yeah, I haven't watched much Nickelodeon at all in decades.
well, I don't watch Nickelodeon itself. I watched Nicktoons a lot, and Danny Phantom used to be pretty regular on Nicktoons. So, be one of
All
those
my
things I'd
shrugs.
leave on. It'd be one of those things I'd leave on when I was doing like gaming and stuff, and so yeah, I'd wind up watching a lot of Danny Phantom. So then it would switch over to Fairly Odd Parents, and I'd have to turn it off. Yeah. Or SpongeBob. I'd turn off SpongeBob too. Anyway, so yeah, the fact that I'd seen this basic storyline before did kind of detract from it for me, but not too much.
Oh,
But
I was
that's
gonna
what I
say,
do.
yeah, you skipped Tim, but Tim already technically gave his.
Yeah, Tim
Yeah.
gave his during the light, so I skipped him.
I'm sorry.
All right, favorite scene.
Favorite scene.
Apparently, that last drink of lemonade gave me the hiccups.
I'm gonna go with the scene where Tanya is getting into the school system and Matthias is kind of hinting at the ability to like maybe look at what their scores are.
Okay.
That was actually a pretty good character moment between the two of them, and she's just like, "I'm going to ignore you. Even suggested that, and we're going to keep looking at these articles."
Bill.
I'm gonna have to pass. I've spent the past 5 days trying to figure out my favorite scene, and I've come up with Goose Egg.
Tim.
Oh, I have an absolutely favorite scene. The scene where they're trying to bully each other and sucking
And
at it.
failing. Yeah, that was mine too. That was the one I'm sitting here laughing my ass off at it because they're so shit at it.
It is
Sorry.
like,
No, wait. I don't mean to be sorry.
like, you're gay. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I love you.
You're a bitch. Hey, I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, God.
No, don't be sorry. Dang it.
It's like the two politest people in the world trying to be mean and just absolutely can't.
It's like I think for like half a second she was going to try to use a certain slur and couldn't bring her mouth to say it and just said
Yeah.
gay instead.
Yeah, it's just absolutely. I loved that scene. I'm just sitting here chuckling at it because I can visually see it. And the looks on their faces, I could see all of it. And it was just, if that scene had happened during class,
That probably
The
made the best episode. Yeah.
it would have been the best episode ever. But no, it was just perfect. So I'm going to back up Tim's on that one because that was just way too good. Okay. Least favorite scene, Matt.
Least favorite scene. Well, I have to. I find it extremely awkward. I understand the emotional reason behind it, but it seemed really like a leap of logic for Matthias to run after the one bully guy and try and have a fist fight with him.
I got it. I understood it.
Yeah, like I
weird
said,
thing
I
is
understand the emotional part of it, and I understand your blood boiling so much that you just want to give someone a knuckle sandwich. But at the same time, I'm like, I know my limits too.
The weird thing is that after he ran after him, he seemed surprised that it came down to a fist fight.
I know that
There's-
did seem a little odd.
He was like,
Mm.
wait, what? I ran after you yelling and now you're hitting me?
Mm-hmm.
Who could have foreseen this?
Who'd
Well,
have thunk it? Yeah. I do wonder if Matthias is a little denser than people
It's-
get that.
It is a distinct possibility, and it might just be regionalisms that's completely baffling him too. So who knows?
All right, Bill. How about you? Least favorite scene?
So I'm going to go with the scene where I'm clever and therefore I can come up with an algorithm that can read handwriting from scans of deteriorated 60s paper in seconds, even though there's an entire industry dedicated to improving that sort of tech. Oh,
Yeah, that was a
what?
little. Yeah, it was a little beyond what she was
Like,
capable of in the show.
it's like you're not the
I would have
doctor.
thought they would have keyworded it, but it is true that if it was only going based on the
Mhm.
images of writing, that yeah, that's a little
It's-
eyebrow raising.
It's like it's like they're trying to like, oh yeah, this is what the doctor would do in this scene, so we'll have the smart person do it. Just
Mhm.
because you understand coding doesn't make you like able to do impossible feats.
Yeah, I would claim that up to some possible information missing, but failing that information missing, yeah, this is not right.
Yeah, I would have taken it to the fact that they would have used optical character recognition on the text when they scanned it in, but I happen to know that OCR is not that accurate.
Yeah, that's the other
Right.
thing too, is that they
That's what I
probably,
said
even if
about
they
there
do
being
have
an
some sort of
entire
system of keywording, they probably didn't do it as well as
Yeah.
they should.
Like I said, the fact that there's an entire industry pretty much dedicated to improving that sort of software.
Mhm. Okay, Tim, how about you? What was your least favorite scene?
I'm gonna have to pass because my favorite scene was really the only scene that really stood out to me. The other
Okay.
scenes I didn't, nothing like really made me say, "Oh, this is bad." You know, it's like
Okay.
the rest just blended together.
All right.
Mhm.
So, my least favorite scene was the actual fight scene itself because it was really hard to figure out what was going on. Because it was really just a couple of people grunting into the microphone.
Oh, that's between the two guys?
Yeah.
See, I had a mental image of my own, but Miles may
I
vary depending on person, so it probably got even worse for you.
Mhm. Yeah, for me it was a little bit like, okay, I need some visual reference here, but there is none. Damn it, you know.
It would have been better with some actual imagery, but I think I managed to get my own mental image around that as the fight progressed.
I managed to figure out what's going on at the end of it, but between the fight and the noise of the oncoming Peter, um, it was kind of like I was a little bit at a loss for a bit on what was going on. So that was my take on it. Was okay. It's just a bit confusing for audio. All right. So that's everybody's likes and dislikes, favorites and least favorites. We will go on to our final thoughts. Matt.
All right, so final thoughts. I think plot-wise, this stood up pretty well. It was easy follow, and the two characters actually had a lot of really good chemistry, at least audio-wise. They seemed to hit it off really well, and it made for some really good moments throughout the story. I feel it's just a little bit weak in the knees at certain points that we could have used either a boost in cast or could have also used a better mental image for some people here and there.
Okay.
But otherwise, for the most part, it stood up pretty well.
Okay. All right. Bill?
All right. I think this is fairly strong, particularly as far as class goes. Uh, Mainly the character interactions just seemed very strong, and even when a scene was irritating me, it just was well done. There were a few moments where were kind of things that bugged me, but they were never ones that drastically impacted the plot, except for I guess that one scene I mentioned in least favorite scenes, in the sense that I don't know what they would have done otherwise, other than I don't know, have to get lucky. Uh, but just in general, I think I liked it more than I disliked it.
Okay. Tim?
I liked it fine. I actually think Class works better as an audio drama than a TV series.
I think that's partially in part due to the better writing from Big Finish. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the characterization was good. Like in this episode, I actually just from the writing and the voice acting, I recognized who was talking. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could put faces to the people, and I did like that line that when they were searching the history of the school, and they say, "Oh, in 1963, teachers and a student disappeared.
I like that reference. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, there's a lot of disappearing people, including the 60s, a student and two teachers. Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
That little shout out to the
mhm,
beginning.
mm. But, this was a rather simple episode that tried to take on a topic that might have been like too complex for it, but they did a good job, an adequate job of it anyway, I think. So
All right.
those are my 2 cents.
Okay. So yeah, this was a lot stronger than the previous entry. Everybody Loves Reagan. It made a lot more sense. Was a little more linear. Possibly a little bit too much, but not so much that I felt that it was overly detracting to the story. The characters meshed well. All in all, it was decent. It was good. It was probably not great, but it was at least good. Okay, ratings. And Matt, you were first. You
Possibly
gave
Bartle gave the last one what?
You gave last one a 3.
Last one was a 3. My overall statement on this one, possibly partially borrowed villain, overly straightforward plot, but also really good character moments, which will make up for some of it. So 4.
Okay, Bill,
Okay, I'm gonna say 4.0.
4 as well. Tim,
I will continue the trend and say 4.
we are in absolute agreement.
Woo!
It is
Yay!
a 4, which of course makes our average a 4. If it didn't, I would have to go, hey, what's up with this?
Machine, what did you do?
The heck? Why
I don't.
is this
I don't
not-
think this makes the best episode of Class, does it? It gets close though.
Oh. Give me a moment. I made myself an error.
Da-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I assigned next week's numbers to this week's
Oh.
and the rankings there. It's a simple fix. Okay. So with an average of 4.0, we'll be able to sort this. Feels like I just did this earlier today. Oh, wait, I did. Class, with a 4.0, now you know comes in at number 119 out of 279. It is on par with Rose, Planet of the Spiders, Class, co-owner of A Lonely Heart / Bravish Heart,
Mm.
Castrovalva, Inferno, The Invisible Enemy, Terminus, Heaven Sent, Vengeance on Veros, The Runaway Bride, Attack of the Cybermen, and A Good Man Goes to War. It is better than Knock Knock, The Deadly Assassin, Brain of Morbius, Colony in Space, Warrior's Gate, Into the Dalek, Kerblam. So already better than Series 11 there.
Ouch.
Monster of Peladon, Blink the Next Doctor, The Chase, The Gardens of Dead, Power of Daleks, and is worse than Oxygen. So better than an episode in series, or not quite as good as an episode of Series 10. The Daemons, The Pilot, another Series 10. It Takes You Away, so I think that was a Series 11. Closing Time, The Girl Who Died, Death to the Daleks, State of Decay, Under the Lake Before the Flood, Mummy on the Orient Express, Curse of Fatal Death, and Army of Ghosts Doomsday. So there we go.
So I think it's time for second
119.
place.
279. I think there's a couple more that are higher. Because there's the metaphorical engine, or What Quill Did, which
Which
is
I knew was
4.4.
above this. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if there was anything more than that, so it might be tied for second or third
I'm looking.
place.
Night Visiting is a 4.2.
Ah.
Yeah, that seems to be it.
Tied for
Night
third for Class. Okay.
Yep. So that's all we have to say about Class.
Hmm.
Bill?
All right. If so, yeah, let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to follow us on twitch.tv/unearthly podcast and subscribe on YouTube, which still won't give us a special URL because YouTube is YouTube.
YouTube
You
is
can
YouTube and
also
Google's the worst.
Yep. You can also like us at facebook.com/unearthly podcast or follow us at twitter.com/unearthly pod.
All right. So next week we will finish our trilogy of class audios with Big Finish Class Season 2 In Remembrance, written by Guy Adams and starring Catherine Kelly as Miss Quill, Greg Austin as Charlie Smith, and Sophie Aldred as Ace. See
Alrighty.
you next week.
Have a good night.
Later.